Thanks for joining us to make our flower of the month this month in February. This is the violet. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to tin all of our pieces ahead of time. So this is the process of soldering, putting solder on all of your pieces of glass without joining them first. So this is typically used in three-dimensional building in stained glass, generally not in two-dimension. Occasionally there's an application for it, but this is how we do it. So we want to apply solder around all of our pieces before we put anything together. And it really does work well if you do this in an assembly line fashion. It's pretty quick. And just remember whenever you're soldering that this is not a paintbrush. This is a hot tool that you want to transfer heat with. So keep it moving, not too fast, and don't pick up your iron. So in our classes sometimes we see folks trying to do this, and when you've been doing glass for a while, you know that you're just going to give yourself sharp little points by doing that. We don't want that. Okay, so that's side A. Let's flip over to side B, and we've already put our flux on, so we don't need to do that again. So after we do side B, we need to do our outer edge, and then we'll be ready to assemble. The only additional material that you're going to need that does not come in your kit is going to be your stem that you attach your flower to. And today we're using, I believe, 12 gauge galvanized stainless steel wire. You do not have to use 12 gauge. You could certainly use 14 or 16 safely. You could also use tinned wire if that's what you have. And if you've been glassing for a little while, it's pretty likely that you'll have that on hand. So now we're going to do our outside edges. And because I'm working quickly, my petals are not too hot for me to hold right now. If they get a little bit warm, you can use a towel to hold them. You could also use a set of pliers or your handy helper, if that's what you have at home. In our classes, we always tell folks that for every way that we teach you something, there's 3 other right ways and 10 other wrong ways. And we don't have a whole lot of ego about how it goes. We just want you to have a good experience and have a project that is not only beautiful, but that will stay together for a long time. So if you have ideas of your own that you want to share that have helped you in your glass, please feel free to share below. Okay, let's go ahead and get this little nugget tinned as well. And I really think that holding on to it with a pair of pliers is probably the best way to go. So let's make sure we have our flux on there. The nuggets just do get hot really fast. It's pretty difficult to do it any other way. Okay, so now we need to just put all of our pieces together. We're going to line them up around our blob to see how this is going to fit for us. Should be a pretty good fit. And then what I like to do for this flower so that we do make it dimensional is I'm going to alternate petals. So some of them are going to be up at an angle and some of them are going to be flat. And we just kind of alternate as we go. So this little guy, I like to keep everything just relatively in place. So this guy, I'm going to go ahead and solder on here, raised. And then my next one can be flat. Let's go ahead and hold this with a plier. Sometimes we have the angle, sometimes we don't. Okay, so that's our next one. And then we're just going to go ahead and do this to give us a little bit of support. Again, whenever you are working in stained glass, there are so many different ways to do it and to support as you go. So that petal I want up. I'm going to angle that guy up. And this one we're going to have down. A lot of folks have jigs that they work with, and that's awesome. A jig is just a tool that helps you hold things in place while you put it together. Those are incredibly helpful. But we really can make it work any way we need to. And then this last petal is going to be right there. Okay, so our entire violet is together in one piece, and I want to go through and tighten everything up. So if you look at the back, it's still, you know, pretty blobby and messy. And we just want to smooth this out with a nice thick line of solder. And this is just increasing that structural stability, but also it's giving us that really nice traditional finish on stained glass, and that's those raised lines that we want. We don't really want to see the seam between our glass, and we want it to come out a little bit more like that. And so this one, we just need to attach our wire right here at the bottom. And I'm going to do it so that it doesn't go into my glass blob because I don't want to see it on the other side. So again, I'm going to make sure that I have a good amount of flux. And whenever you're soldering with wire, you want your wire to heat up. So your solder is going to go over and on the sides. And we kind of make this into a seamless spot for our violet. Thanks so much for making a flower with us this month, guys.